TV, and you are here with Lecky_2000. Welcome, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely to have you here this evening. In fact, it's extra especially lovely to have you here this evening because this is the very first, and unfortunately the last of the season that you're going to catch of our GT1 race. So, due to technical difficulties and, to be honest, a lack of hands around the table, we've been unable to broadcast the GT1s up until this point live. But yeah, this is coming to you live. So we're right here with the action on board with Immortalis. And it looks like, unfortunately, it's absolutely soaking here this evening at Bathurst. So, New South Wales, not renowned for the amount of rain that it does get. Australia, obviously, quite a dry place in most parts. But when they do get it, they do get it quite heavily, and they are certainly getting it here today. So, rain expected throughout the qualifying session here. And we're just on board, like I said, with Immortalis, who's currently yet to settle up in qualifying, and looks like he's already taken a little bit of a damage, a little bit of knock to that front end though, potentially already suffering a little bit from the water that's already in play here, and it's gonna get worse. So, where are we today anyway, in terms of our standings for the GT1 Championship, and what does this mean for us coming into the final round? Well, obviously we've had a great showing from Linga Bazinga, who's currently sat in our pit lane. And Linga Bazinga has been by far and wide the top of the championship, currently sat there all the way in the front with a 63 point lead, I believe, above Jack de Menzies with 237 points. And Linga Bazinga, we just go over to him now, just coming along the end of the first straight there. So Linga Bazinga, we're expecting to see decent lap times today, but will we see an upset from the weather conditions? That's yet to see. So just going over to our table, what do our tables look like? Like we said, Linga Bazinga out there in first place, and Jack de Menzies currently in second place. There is a 63 point deficit. Technically, it's not possible to catch Linga Bazinga now. He would have to literally throw it away and get himself a massive amount of penalty points in order to throw his championship victory away here. So for want of driving the wrong way around the track for most of the race, Linga Bazinga's got it in the bag here, I believe, for the championship. So well done to Linga. Fingers crossed he can keep his nose clean and get another good result today. But like I said, just coming down to Jack. Jack's in second place with 174. Jack doing quite well in that Toyota. That Toyota's been a bit of a pain this season for Jack, as well as Murphy. So both the guys struggling at times in that Toyota on some of the shorter tracks like Sonoma. We've got quite a lot of guys spinning there, but Jack doing all round not too badly in that Toyota with a 174. Closely followed by Bruce. Bruce dropping down to third place, again massively impacted by the disconnect he got earlier on in the season. So Bruce will come into this in third place. Not too much of a difference there in the points between Bruce and Jack, 13 point gap, so technically that's quite easy to close that up. But given Jack and his recent finishes, I actually don't know whether that's actually going to be an eventuality that we see or not. Had a good run, Jack, recently, but the last couple of races he seems to, his performance has dipped, and he's just coming up the mountain section now as he goes past the Haltech signs. So just behind Bruce, Jack and Linga in the 1-2-3 spots, we've got Dirk Diggler coming up in 4th spot with the 1-1-3, Sterling Bongo coming up in 5th with a 109, DJ Leggy coming up in 6th spot with a 102, Immortalis coming up in 7th spot with 91 points, Murphy just behind him in 8th with 88, all the 8s for Murphy, Jelmer in 9th, or Martin as you might see him on screen, with 87 points, Martin a late entry there, all 74 Leggy, the Elder Leggy, I believe, with 85 points in 10th place. Luke 42, managing to pick up a few points over the last couple of races, so up to 44 points in 11th place. Old Smokey off the bottom there with 25. We have seen a couple of people drop out due to absences in the championship. That does mean we've had a couple of new entrants come here today, so you see a couple of other people out on grid. Tajo, which is a name that we've come to know and love from many of our other championships. Currently he's got a battle and a half going on in our non-broadcast LMP2 Championship, which we currently run on Saturday. So Tiger will definitely be one to watch in this session. We know it can be quick. Pad driver, controller driver, but that's not to hold him back. He certainly looks like he's got that CLK under control there as he rips it through those tight S-bend sections down the side of the mountain, getting a four-wheel drift on there in the rain. So Tiger relays, he just touches the wall there, but won't take too much time off. Just trading paint work with the wall. As he comes down Conrod straight now underneath the sign, again a little bit squirrely, so potentially aquaplaning there just as they get to that almost bit where it flattens out there on the back of Conrod before it starts to dip again for the kink. And it'll be hard on the brakes down here into this left-hander. So again, one to watch here, Tiger. Who else have we got on our grid this evening that we're not used to seeing? Mark we've got with us. So Mark again, normally I think Mark would opt for a Toyota, but unfortunately due to high demand this season and Mark taking a real big spill there just as he comes up into turn 2, Mark will be having a rethink about that one. Who else have we got on the grid? We do have Blankfile now. Blankfile's an interesting late entry. It's the first time that he's been in GT1s. He's been desperate to get into the GT1s for a number of weeks now. I know he's got a couple of battles going on with Bruce Law throughout other championships, notably the GT3, where these two guys are going toe-to-toe for the lead. So Blankfile currently sat in 6th place to 2:05. No, not quite the quickest time by quite a few seconds here at Bathurst, but I do expect him to pick that up. Quite an unconventional car though, so the first time we've seen anybody in the GT1 Championship tempted by the Nissan at this stage. So I'll be interested to see what lap time he puts in on this lap. We'll try and stick with Blankfile here because I'll be interested to see what the Nissan does actually get when he's at full chart. His lights are not on, but I suspect this will be a hot lap for him as he comes barreling down Conrod there. It's just a madness bridge that you see in the background there. So he does lock up just a touch there coming in into that left hand turn in sector 3, and there we go, that distinctive boomerang arch of the Madness Bridge there as he comes to the final turn. Now got to watch for pooling on that final corner as the guys go throughout this session, so no improvement there for Blankfile, but yeah, the guys go throughout this session. They are certainly going to be watching for pooling on the track, and the last corner there is absolutely murder for it. Plenty of spins have been seen throughout the practice session. I think with these guys, practice session again was wet, just like qualifying, just like the race, so not a predicted let up here in the weather. So just to have a little look down our order so far out today, we've got Linga Bazinga, who's currently, as expected, setting the fastest lap times, and just go over to our timing board to get a bit of a better look at that. So 1.7 seconds between him and Snarling Bongo, but as we are used to seeing in the GT1s early on in the qualifying here, just 7 minutes left to go in our session, so just gone halfway through our qualifying session, and we've seen yet another 1, 2, 3 with our Dutch drivers, Linga, Snarling and Martin on Chelmer, as we all know him. So these guys looking really fast here. I know they've been putting a lot of time in on the track, trying to get the car on down in various conditions. As we actually see Linga Bazinga picking up a bit of dirt there, and it looks like somebody's dragged on there. So going off at Bathurst in the wet does look like it's picking up quite a lot of dirt being dragged onto track. So the guys are going to have to watch that. It's going to make the aquaplaning situation even more tricky, and potentially even more thrills and spills this evening. So just going back over to our grid, all 74 Legend not putting a bad lap time over in 5th, and Mark currently putting in a decent lap time as well. Oh sorry, apologies, that is Chelmer. So all 74 Legend and Tajo, I believe it is, sorry, in the similar liveried cars. It is indeed. So the green and gold, must admit, going to be one of my favourite liveries though. British Racing green colours with the gold effect on it. So Tajo dropping back down to 07 on our grid, so maybe he's struggling a little bit now in the finals, coming towards the final half of our qualifying session. Diggler not currently putting a lap time in, currently trying to hone his setup in. Diggler, like we said, is currently going toe-to-toe with Immortalis and what was Taijo in a battle in our LMP2s for what could have been second place, I think, through that championship. So these guys are going to have a point to prove to each other here today in New South Wales. And just coming over to our other championships, so what have we got on for our final week here through our championships at Flux Motorsport. Week 8 it is in our championship, so our championships run for a total of 8 rounds, and then after that we've got our community prize competition, but before that we've got our GT3 championship on Sunday and our LMP2 championship final on Saturday. So our LMP2 championship, like I said, we've got a battle for second place, but currently in the leaderboard we've got Bruce currently way out in front in the LMP2, so Bruce expected to walk away with that one, I think. Not forgetting our GT3, we've got again Bruce in the battle, so Bruce, a name that we've come to revere here at Flux Motorsport in a lot of the championships, and certainly up there in the vast majority of them. Even turned his hand at the Touring Car Championship most recently, I believe. It's a little bit out of character for Bruce, but he literally will drive anything. Just go over to Bruce, but he's currently taking a pit stop, so we'll try and take a look on board with Murphy. Murphy had a good lap time out last time in our GT1s. He was fastest lap for the majority of that session, and then pinched by Snarling Bango right at the end, just snatched away from him, but certainly one of the quick guys out on track. Didn't have a good race, unfortunately, through its entirety, and finished decidedly mid-pack last race, but hoping that he's got things back together here for his final outing at Bathurst. Toyota should be a good shot round here with the amount of power that it's got, so if it can really open its legs, but it's whether it can get that power down throughout these twisty sections and throughout all this torrential downpour. Looking at track temperatures, we're around the 30 degrees mark, so not an extremely cold track, but certainly cold for Australian climate. And certainly for this time of year in Australia, actually, it's not normally this cold, but the weather's certainly playing a part in that. So Blackfall managed to retain that 6th place, so that Nissan running well at the moment. Again, not got his lights on, so it looks like he might have just come out of the pit box, so we'll just go back over to the Toyota of Jack actually and just see if we can... Yep, so Jack is coming around with his lights on now, just coming up through that same turn. So potentially here he's going to be chasing and getting cars to move out the way now. So if they are on the blue flag, they must move out the way. They don't have to let off, but they must move over to a side to let the car through. So I'll observe good racing etiquette here. So anything in terms of news, what's happened this week at Flux Motorsport? Just going over to our stewards inquiry and response board. See if there's any, and there was indeed. So unfortunately, due to a mishap in turn 2 involving Jack Dementius and DJ Leggy, and the younger of the Leggies here in the yellow and white CLK, involved in a bit of a spill there, and DJ Leggy picking up a 10-second penalty for that infringement there, just running into Jack. Not looking like it's affected Jack's championship standards too much. Still up there in the running order, like I said, up there in 3rd place, but DJ Leggy will incur 2 licence points for that. Nothing else in terms of news for the GT1 championships this week, so pretty much a clean enough round last week, bar the one incident. So if you are joining us on YouTube and it's your first time watching us, thanks very much for joining us. Do make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and make sure you get the bell notification turned on so you get notified of all our videos. Like I said, our championship races are coming to an end, so the next thing that you can expect to see from Flux Motorsport is our community prize competition. Our community prize competition will be opening up, and sign-ups will be available as of the 4th of January. So we'll get the Christmas wait period and a few leisurely drives and a few Christmas giggles I think we'll have within the community, just like I heard on a bit whilst it's Christmas. And then we'll be straight into our community prize competition of which is yet to be announced. So watch this space, or watch the potential announcement that may come in the GT3 Championship. So I can't make you any promises, but do tune in for the GT3 Championship on Sunday 8 PM to see if you can catch any announcements that might allude to what our community prize competition is. But like I said, sign-ups for our drivers will go out on the 4th of January. So if you're looking to get involved, you want to get involved in some of the prizes, or you want to get involved in next season's championship races, don't forget to go over to our website at FluxMotorsport.com, and you can hit the driver sign-up button or registration button, it's called, at the top right-hand corner, that'll take you through to our Discord server, and you can sign up and get involved in all the action. Discord's a program, if you don't know what you use to manage and talk to our drivers, completely free. You can install that on any compatible mobile device. So not long left in our session here now. It looks like most of the guys are going to be coming in at the end of qualifying here. Linga Bazinga, as we expected, 2:02 here, absolutely blistering pace, over 1.7 seconds in front of anybody else. And Stanley Bongo has also remained in pit, so that's going to be it for the front runners now. DJ Ledge is still making his way around. Again, Jelma in a similar livery though, not teammates, but both in yellow and white cars. Both of these guys still out. 204s and 205s for both of these CLKs respectively. We'll stay on board with DJ Ledge. He looks like he's having a good run. Lights are on, it's certainly a hot lap as he slides that back end round. He's certainly trying to push on this lap, so trying to get in front of blank file, trying to make that battle up at the top that little bit more interesting. And the calibre of driver that we've got in the GT1 Championship, certainly nothing to be sniffed at here. So DJ is going to have a job trying to make a move on it and any improvement on his position, and thinks better of it. So that's DJ into the pits. Still out is 074 Legit, like you said, 074 DJ related, father and son combo. They are different teams, different liveries, and they certainly do not share tactics. As we found out in a couple of the other races where they've gone toe to toe, and 074 will not be putting in a lap, so that's him coming in this time. Immortalis now just at the top of Common Road Straight, just coming down, trying to get that run into 6th gear and use all of the final drive available on that CLK. Again, lights on, hot lap here, so really pushing. He looks like he does look like he's turned us off though, so maybe this will just be a leisurely run into the pits at this stage. 5th on the grid, not a bad spot for Immortalis here. We'll stay on board with him just to see whether he does put an improvement in. He does look like he stayed out past the pit lane, so you may think he's quicker here. As you see as he comes across the line, 2048 we've got to beat. And I think he has indeed. I think that's Immortalis just jumped up the order. So is that Immortalis up to 2nd place? In 3rd place it is indeed, so a great finish there from Immortalis. Definitely worth staying out and chancing the rain for that little bit longer. So as we finish our qualifying session here, we've got Linga Bazinga in 1st place, Snelling Bongo in 2nd place, and then Immortalis upsetting that 1-2-3 Dutch run and coming in 3rd place. Jalma or Martin at 65, as you can see him on screen there, in 4th with a 204. Very closely followed by Jack de Mendes, so next to nothing splitting these guys. You got a Rizzle paper in between those two cars. 074 Leggy, not DJ Leggy, coming in 6th place. Blankfile in 7th, so good first out in there from Blankfile, nice to see. And he splits both the Leggies actually, so coming in 7th in between 074 and DJ, who DJ comes in 8th place. Bruce Law not seeming to be able to get that Panos to work around here, but the Panos without traction control. And he'll come in 9th place. Murphy just to follow him in 10th. Dirk Diggler in 11th place. Tygel coming up in 12th. Luke Snipe in 13th, and Mark in 14th place. And that's it for our qualifying session. So if our race director can get us underway and under order, the guys will get 1 or 2 minutes just whilst the cars are just lining up on grid, just to make the final adjustments, as we are so used to seeing. A couple of tweaks, a couple of words with your mechanic in the pits, make sure that water bottle's full, because you don't want that to happen. We've all been there. And get yourself a comfortable seat for what is going to be a gripping and thrilling ride around Bathurst in New South Wales today. So what do we know about Bathurst? What can I tell you about Bathurst? Bathurst originally opened up in 1938, so but most recently in the current format that it's in now in 1987, and it is actually a road circuit. So it's when it's not a racetrack, the vast majority, if not all of this track, is actually opened up to the general public to use as part of the public highway system. So Bathurst, not just a racetrack, but actually doubling up as a functional road as well. But yeah, certainly not the weather that we'd expect to see from Bathurst here. I expect glorious baking sunshine, blistering tyre temperatures, and really struggling to get that balance between hard, softs and tyre pressures correct. And I think what we're going to see here is a little bit different from what we've seen in some of the practice sessions and through a couple of the cars through the qualifying session. Back end starting to get loose, so I think it might be a battle of the pits in this one. But time will tell as we just make the final adjustments now, and the guys get on the starters orders. A lot of the guys already got the windscreen wipers on, but Linga Bazinga, though, as you can see right at the front of the grid, it looks like he doesn't need it. So he's going to go and drive without wipers, I think. Either that, or he's not got that button assigned, and he's going to be kicking himself at the moment. I really can't see him leaning out the window and wiping the beading brain off that at 200 miles an hour. But you never know. He's a man of many talents. And we get the lights underway, and we are away here at Bathurst. So a great start there from Immortalis, is that getting through straight through the middle, and he's pushed his way all the way straight through the first with no regard for human life. Did not take any care for either of the Dutchmen there, and he's straight through up into first. And it looks like we've got 074 Leggy off in the background. Is that potentially Tajo? Sorry, so Tajo dropping down the order into last place there. 1, 2, 3, 4 currently on a grid is Immortalis, Snell and Bongo, Jack de Menze sticking with it there, and Linga Bazinga dropping all the way down to 4th place. So is this tactics from Linga Bazinga letting the guys, as Immortalis goes round, and that Snell and Bongo looks like he gets caught up in that traffic though. Whether that was contact and whether he shoved him round and it was a push to pass, I'm not sure, or whether it was the infamous rubbers on the inside there. Only time will tell as they come through up onto what's called a cutting, which is one of the most difficult corners I find on this track. Banked corner, and it looks like we've got another spin there. So is that Snell and Bongo that's gone round? I think it is. So Snell and Bongo will just try and drop back down the order a little bit there to see the cars coming through. So Snell and Bongo will take a spin. That'll drop him back down to 8th place. That allows Jelmer to move up to 3rd, and 074 Leggy all the way up to 4th spot now. So a great start from 074 Leggy to get up to 4th spot. And that's moved Blankfire all the way up to 5th as well. So these guys are all starting to pick up places now due to 1 or 2 spins from the guys in front. Back on board with our leaders. We've got Jack de Mendes out in front and Linga Bazinga just behind him. So that almost nearly was Linga Bazinga taking the wall out there, and Jack de Mendes is with him. So this has been a frantic first lap in the rain. The guys are really pushing here, and I'm starting to think that maybe 1 or 2 of these guys should back off. Looks like we've got a gap between Blankfile and Jelmer opening up there, so between 3rd and 4th place, just a little bit of space opening up on track. But right behind those we've got the Leggy family that are battling it out. Like I said, no love lost between these two guys, and certainly doesn't look like it on the first lap of this race at Bathurst today. 074 looking better on the brakes there as he comes through the chase into Maurice under that Madness bridge. But DT is right up the back, and is that Murphy making a move on Bruce Law? See where the Murphy sticks that. I don't think he's got that manoeuvre done. He has got the manoeuvre done. He's right up the side of Bruce. Whether he can stick it here on the inside, he's still on the inside line, but we know that inside line is going to be treacherous and full of puddles. See if we can get the camera on it here. And they go side by side all the way up the mountain straight, and they're never going to stick this to a quarry, are they? There's no way, Jeff. What, they're going to go for it. Here they come all the way up through into quarry. And no, so Bruce thinks better of it, gives Murphy the run there. Murphy the bold with the 2 coming through that section there, showing Bruce's boss in there, but goes a little bit wide, and Bruce now getting his own back, and he goes straight round the side, and that's exactly how it's done, Murphy. So that'll teach you, he says. Try and get back on board with some of our front runners now. A gap opening out between Jack and Linga over at the front. Just on lap 2 here. All our actions so far, and not as many spins as we thought we'd see in the first couple of sections, but certainly the Dutch guys did get a good start, as well as Immortalis. But that spin there in lap 1, seeing Immortalis and Snell and Bongo maybe through their eagerness jumping all the way back down to 9th and 10th, or potentially was that due to a bit of overzealousness from one of the drivers and a bit of a push to pass. We'll have to go to the stewards. So over to Blankfire. Past also wall riding. That might be due to a glitch on on the stream there, so apologies for that technical difficulty. Blank file actually doesn't look damaged there at all. This car looks in perfect condition, so I do apologise for that. He's coming through loud and clear now, and all the way up to 4th spot, so 217s, a far cry away from what we saw in qualifying here. And it looks like we've had a disconnect, so one of the guys had to retire here already, and it looks like we've lost Dirk Diggler from our action. So Dirk Diggler really not having a great time with it, ended up in the wall I think out of his last race, the LMP2s. That really did impact his championship run there, with Immortalis and Tajo up at the front. So he was hoping to have a good outing here today, so that's a real shame for him. But currently the battle that we're watching here is a battle for 4th place, where 074 Leggy is chasing down Blank File, not putting any manoeuvres on him currently, but certainly all up in his mirrors and letting him know that he's definitely there. Almost going for a silent assassin approach, I think, 074 Leggy. Lights are off at this stage, and as you can see, a lot of spray coming up from the back of these cars. Not easy to see when you've got a trailer GT1 cars, and if you're at the back of that group, I mean, if you're Immortalis or Murphy towards that 8th and 9th of that gaggle of cars there, you are really going to struggle to see where the braking points are, where the turning points are, which is going to make things all that more difficult. And you've literally got to drive off the experience of the guy in front. So Blackfire currently leading this pack, and he's doing a good job of it. Currently not making too many mistakes, showing the guys behind where the preferred racing line is. And obviously we know that is completely different to where you'd expect that to be in a dry situation. So just 5 minutes gone so far, and Linga Bazinga still trailing Jack Dementes out in the front. Linga Bazinga was in front, he qualified pole in this race. So you see Jack Dementes locking up, getting the car a little bit sideways there. Potentially can do that in the Toyota though. Can just give it a little bit more beans, let it run a little bit, just use that slide, albeit you don't only be doing that too often because you're burning the tyres up. You have got a long straight just after that in Conrod where you can just let those tyres cool down just a little bit, just before the heavy braking zone at the end, where the chase is, and the chase catches a lot of drivers out here. Not actually the most difficult corner I would have thought in a wet situation, so obviously the tracks differ massively. Bathurst is no exception when it rains. Certainly a different set of circumstances in some of the corners, and the last corner being, as we said during the qualifying session there, being one of the most treacherous corners. One of the kick the back end out on the car, regardless of how you hit that, or regardless of how you try and run through it. Even with just momentum and off throttle, the cars really look to get out of shape there. So Linga just about 0.9 of a second behind Jack so far. Jack looking again, like I said, to try and get a good performance. Not had the best out in the last couple of outings. Plagued with a couple of impacts, like we said last time in the GT1s. A bit of a run-in with DJ Leggy, which saw him come off a little bit worse for wear. So a little bit of amateur dramatics, I think, in the steward's room. Almost threw himself on the floor, I think, with the amateur dramatics, which is not nice to see from a driver. It's never good to see when a driver is trying to get another driver penalised, but they've made an absolute song and dance about that one. And if you'd have seen the steward's inquiry, you'd know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so the stewards, fair and concise bunch, and Jack normally is a level-headed individual, does sit on that stewards panel, but difficult when you get wrapped up in it, difficult when you get involved in some of these incidents, and hopefully won't get involved in any more incidents today. We don't want to see any tears in the steward's office. We'll just go over to 3rd place, so go on board with Jelma. Like I said, similar livery there to the guys in the Leggy family. That's one of the guys in the Leggy family, but not related again, not teammates. None of the guys share any tactics or share any pit crews here in the GT1 Championship. So definitely a bit of a free-for-all here. Every driver for himself. Doesn't affect the standard, clean standard. Like we said, only one incident out last time, just a bit of a nudge from one of our drivers. But yeah, the yellow and white livery there of Jelma, putting in solid lap times, 209s, which Blank File is putting him just behind that, just matching that, but he doesn't look like he's catching him and keeping those consistent. So we'll just stick on board with Martin and just see what he gets as he comes across here. He's capable of putting in beyond the 209, 208s and 207s we've seen in qualifying. But yeah, it's still in the 209s this time, so it looks like his race pace is firmly in the 209s. And Blankfile just dropping a little bit further behind, so back over to 4th place here as we see Blankfile just trying to defend against these guys. And it looks like Bruce might have taken a spill, so as we see him lost now from that order there. 074, DJ Ledger and Murphy in 5th, 6th and 7th. And then we are missing Bruce from 9th place, so it looks like during that last lap through the back hill section of the mountain, Bruce took a spill there. And like we said, not able to benefit from the ability of traction control, or the stability control or ABS. So completely void of all assistor panels, which does make it more difficult and a little bit more of a delicate machine in conditions such as this. So 10 minutes gone of here of our 45-minute session, and will we see pit stops here? So I think one of the conversations we were having in the paddock just before we were coming into the qualifying session with the guys was related to the amount of degradation they're getting on the tyres here. Obviously they're on wet tyres to be able to deal with these conditions, and the wet weather not looking like it's going to be alleviating at all here. So they will be remaining on the wets throughout, but it's more the degradation with the tyres that the guys were explaining was the issue. The degradation here clearly playing a part. So a softer compound, really, the wetter tyres, you're able to get a bit more heat in there, obviously because of reduced track temperatures. But because of that, you've actually got less rubber of the tyre, more grooves in there. You want to be able to try and displace that water from the surface of the road as the car's going along, and remove it, get the tyre in contact with the tarmac and really get the grip down. So but with that effect of doing so, obviously you do build up heat in the tyres a lot quicker, and with that heat you do get degradation, you do get additional tyre wear, and these tyres are starting to degrade maybe after 6 or 7 laps. And is that all 74 there? I believe it is all 74, just getting a little bit twitch on the inside, and I think that's that puddle starting to form there. So lap 6 now, starting to get a little bit pooling on the track, and which you would think actually slowed the tyres down, but for some reason the degradation still seems to increase the wetter that it gets, which I've never quite understood the physics behind that, but that is the way it seems to be. Potentially, like we said, it's to do more with the degradation of the compound of the rubber, and the more that you use it, the more heat you put in it, the quicker that it wants to degrade. So you get that compound effect with it. So yeah, I think we were looking 5 or 6 laps here, the guys were saying, in the pit lanes before the tyres really start to go. I think that was primarily the CLK, so it'd be interesting to see what Blankfire gets here out of these tyres, and whether the pit strategy, he tags the wall there, and as it's all 74, so looks like these guys really are following lines here, and they both tag the wall coming into that mountain section. As we know, very difficult as you come up through that right hand turn there, the car wanting to kick out in the understeer, just snatching it away from the other as you can come up through what's called Skyline and the Dipper, and through to as it opens up just into this Forest Elbow section, and then down onto Conroad Straight. But yeah, as they come up through Reed Park there, that right hander just snatching the front end away from you, and it really catching the guys out there, and 074 really getting the back end twitchy. So I think that DJ's probably gonna want to make a move on him, whether he's going to get it done on Conrad here or not. He's trying to make that move for 6th place, but I think we might see the Padawan become the master yet again here, which he did just last week in the GT1 race. Stuck it out for a long while, all 74 in front, and showing what consistency and race pace is about. And I think DJ actually just pipped him in the end, so just showing him how it's done. I'm sure that went down well around the family table around there at dinner time, and he's not heard about it. He's not heard about anything else all week, so I'm sure I'll say it for, but wanting to try and put him back in his place this week and show him actually this is how you get the job done. So bit of a drop back then behind these guys, as we see Murphy and Immortalis there. Looks like potentially these guys have got into a bit of contact with each other. Not seeing that, but Immortalis missing one of the front lights there, front left. So he may well have had some contact with Murphy coming through the dipper section there, which so many do. As we're going to see Snell and Bongo just coming through on the outside. So Snell and Bongo and Bruce will make their way up, and I believe that's our first pit stop there for Immortalis and Murphy. So Will the guys get tyres here? And Murphy just coming right to the end of that pit stop. So, and Murphy pinching his pit box there, having to get dragged into it. So that's going to take a little bit of timing. They've got to drop all the way down the order here, and as you see Luke Snipes coming past. Not heard much about Luke Snipes today. Keeping his nose clean so far. Doesn't like he's got too much damage. So no news is sometimes good news. He's there in the that distinctive Zepanol livery, blue and white, which I always get confused with the Mortalis, so I do apologise for getting those two mixed up week in, week out. Getting it right here tonight. Luke Snipes, again not opting for the lights, just trying to potentially just mask where that car is in terms of racing line, but a dead giveaway obviously when he hits the brakes and the lights pop up for the car behind. So again Tyjo there, so maybe it's something to do with that green livery, but I think Tyjo's getting a bit squirrely there. He has indeed, he's just lost it there, just coming up through the cutting as he comes through onto Griffin's mount. Yep, so Tyjo again getting sideways, and he goes around again. So curse the commentator here as we focus on Luke and Tyjo, and should be careful with that reset button there as we see Mark coming through in the background. That is the red TLK of Mark, so Tyjo getting out of the way there. Immortalis just trying to then come out what potentially fresh tyres, so it looks like he's got a bit pit box quicker than Murphy. Got the jump on him there. And just coming through to take 10th place past Mark. Again, Mark first time out with us so far this evening. I wanted to get in last week, but his schedule didn't allow it. And really has thrown himself in literally at the deep end here, and the deep end might be the correct word for it with the amount of pooling that we're seeing going on the track. As we see Tyjo really struggling to hold on to that car though. So we'll go on board with it with his namesake livery, like I said, 074 and DJ Leggy, so the battle for currently for 5th place here. Quarry bend, and we're getting a bit of glitching on the stream there, so potentially some connection issues. I think that could be related to the weather, so the clouds really not rolling in here over New South Wales, potentially affecting our stream even. Just see if we can get our current broadcaster to, if you can just wiggle the antenna please, that'd be great, thank you. And just going on board to Snarling Bongo now. So Snarling Bongo, it did get a great start currently it was on 2nd place on the grid, and was hoping to really show what he can get that car to do. Fastest lap last week, Snarling Bongo, which is not uncommon for him. 2 or 3 fastest laps so far throughout his championship season, 2 of those in the GT1 series. I believe he's got a fastest lap over in the as a cameo driver in one of the other series as well. Sorry, I can't remember exactly which series that is. I'll come back to you on that one. But definitely a quick driver, Snarling Bongo, but not able to keep the consistency out there on track. Does try and push a little bit hard, I think, in some sections. So a super aggressive driver here. And the third in that trio is Jelmer of our Dutch trio, and Jelmer looks like he's closed up to the back of Linger. So Linger taking a drop back from Jackie. We just see going around the first corner there, and Linger now coming into the pit. So I think this is, as is Tyjo. So let's just see if that registers on the board. Yep, so Linger Bazinga coming in the pits now, and that will allow Jelmer through into 2nd place. But again, we do expect to see a lot of these guys pits, and potentially more than once here. So 27 minutes left to go in our session. If you're just joining us, it is our final race of the Season 2 Championship, the GT1 Championship. You joined us at New South Wales at the Bathurst Mount Panorama circuit, and we are currently on board with Martin 65, or Jelmer as he's more commonly known. If you are just tuning into us, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you do enjoy the videos. Hit the bell notification icon, it's always appreciated. And it is worth me saying that Flux Motorsport is a non-profit organisation. If you do want to donate to the cause, feel free to go over to the website. I think it's called Buy Us a Coffee, and you can hit the Buy Us a Coffee button and go and try and donate our non-profit organisation and bring you clean racing week in, week out, and get these guys trying to compete for the very best and most lucrative prizes that we can. So like I said, that prize event coming up during our January period, so just after the Christmas period. and that's yet to be announced, so watch this space for that. Again, tune in on to our GT3 race on YouTube on Sunday. If you are on social media and you do Twitter Sphere or Instabook or what the usual social media outlets are, then you can find us on twitter.com/Flux Motorsport, same on Facebook and Instagram. YouTube, I think you've got to type for us, but we'll try and sort that out so you can go to youtube.com/Flux Motorsport. I'll have a word with the man in our IT department and see if they can pull some strings with the YouTube bots. So just take a look at our leader here. So coming into the final turn on lap 9 is Jack Dementes. So Jack Dementes yet to pit. Didn't necessarily get the best start out of this race. The best start that we saw came from eMotorsports as he got an absolute blistering run from that line, shot straight through Snarling Bongo and through Linga Bazinga, and bullied his way through into turn 1 with relative ease, really, which did see a lot of the drivers try and close the back of the two Dutchmen. All started getting bunched up into turn 1, and after the thrilling spill of a couple of cars and Snarling Bongo and Immortalis falling down the order, Jack Dementes and Linga Bazinga were the guys that came out with the noses in front. Went back toe-to-toe for half a lap, and Jack eventually put that manoeuvre on him and got that done. So Jack currently in the lead with it for our race at Bathurst here today. Let's try and walk you down the order so far as we are getting towards our halfway mark of this race. Again, 45-minute race, as are all our championship races so far at Flux Motorsport. Second on our grid is Chelmer, currently due to a pit stop from Linga Bazinga, which we expect Linga Bazinga to try and grab that place back as long as he doesn't get involved in any mishaps. Blankfile now up to third place due to that pit stop. So currently, as things stand now, Blankfile in the running for a podium position, which you'll see him pretty much the highest entrant ever into any championship, certainly into the GT1 championship. But certainly across all our championships, Blankfile's come in at the last in several instances with blistering results. Again, we know this lad's quick, and we've seen him on our streams week in, week out from our GT3 championship. We know he's a force to be reckoned with there as well. So, but currently he is struggling with that CLK of 074 Leggy. He just can't seem to shake him. So 074 looks like he's lost his younger counterpart now. For at least a little while. 12-second gap between 074 and DJ Leggy. 14-second gap between these two. Potentially extended even further as these two are in a draft situation now. So 074 will be in a draft situation as he's behind Blankfile, coming down Conrad Straight, and that will make a difference with these cars, with that wedge shape and the huge wings that they've got on the back. So Euro playing a massive factor on these cars here. Further down our grid, like we said, we've got Snarling Bongo in 6th after both Leggies. Bruce Law in 7th place. Did expect to see Bruce Law do a little bit better than this, but again, potentially due to the way that panels is set up without any assist whatsoever and a healthy amount of torque, does struggle to try and get all of its power down in a rainy situation, but does actually benefit from a bit better handling than some of the other cars, because of the way that engine's placed. So Bruce here in 7th. We've got a way to go yet, 20 odd minutes left in this session, so about halfway to go in this session at this stage. So Bruce, as we see many a times, is a clinical finisher, and just by keeping his nose clean for the rest of the race, could potentially see him crawl up that order. Does look like he's taking a little bit of damage though, as he was involved with that battle for what was essentially fourth place coming into lap 2. We've seen him drop off the back of Murphy a little bit earlier on, so Bruce will be looking to work his way back through the order, as will Linga Bazinga. So Linga Bazinga just coming up behind him now, so this is Linga Bazinga's re-entrance after his pit stop out into mid-pack already, so just showing the pace and speed that this guy's actually got. Mid-pack currently set in 2:07, so fastest guy on track at present by a long way, and certainly looks like he's got into his rhythm there as we see Bruce taking looks like a healthy chunk of that wall, just making sure that the Australians have done the job right, put that wall up. Good man Bruce, you wouldn't want to do a shoddy job there, would you? So as they come down through into the S's and Dipper, Skyline S's and the Dipper is a treacherous part of this circuit, obviously in the rain. But through certain sections, because of the camber on it, there is actually quite a decent runoff for the rain. The problem being is you actually get channels of water running across the track, and depending on how quickly those channels of water go, depends on how much grip that you get, which is not a good way to set your car up when you're having to predict how deep of a river, excuse me, you're going to have to drive through, and how much traction you're going to have, which can change at any given point, given how much rain's coming down. So I think we see Linga Bazinga getting right up on the back of Bruce there. So Bruce Lord not under blue flag situation, fully entitled to try and defend his line there within the limits of clean racing etiquette. So one manoeuvre allowed and no racing off the mirrors, as he does actually go a little bit wide there and then lets him through when he's made a clear mistake. So Bruce thinking better of it once a mistake's made, but certainly not getting out of the way initially for him, and making Linga Bazinga try and take those difficult lines, those strange lines, as we see Jack in 4th place. So is that a spin there from Jack? I'd seen him jump down that order, or is that a pit stop from Jack? We certainly didn't see him coming up on the pit board there. That does look like a pit stop, a spin there from Jack, but no damage as far as I can see. So whether that last corner catching him out there, as the guys are starting to get really familiar with that wall there coming up through the Reed Park section, just as they come through back onto Solomon Park there, and then through to McPhillamy, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, McPhillamy Park, through the downhill section. So all of the first part of the section here at Bathurst primarily being uphill, all the way through, like we said, up through Solomon, and then you come through into McPhillamy and Skyline. It starts to level out, and then you come down the other side of that mountain, boy to the mountain down Conrod, flat out 6th gear all the way, topping in excess of 200 miles an hour, 180 miles an hour in these cars. Even in these conditions, they're going to be putting a healthy amount of speed through. We're just trying to take a quick look at what speed they're coming up as they come down. Come on, so 185, 186, in excess of 200 miles an hour. These cars can do in the straight down here without too much of a problem, but not quite cracking the 200 mark as we go through. So Jack there just putting that manoeuvre on DJ. Great manoeuvre there as Jack comes through onto the final corner through Tunmaries and onto the pit straight. So we'll try and take a look on board here and see if we can do the ever fated curse of the commentator. As we go in view, we'll see if we can bring your speedo up and get rid of the overlays for you. So, and we bring up the track information. So we're coming up here as we can see flat out, trying to use all the legs which he's got plenty of, the Toyota, and the wipers going 10 to the dozen as he comes through into Quarry Brend. Now these corners are probably not always going to be 2nd gear, 3rd gear you would expect in the drive, but certainly in the wet here, having it come in a gear earlier and properly throwing that car through the cutting all the way up. It comes from through Griffins, then up through Reed, and it's Reed really where the front end lifts, and it wants to lift it and take the car into that wall. We've seen so many guys make a mistake already, making that car jump, and then this is where it starts to switch into the back downhill section. So a completely different animal the car becomes when it starts to go out of Skyline through into the S's, down into 2nd gear, normally 3rd and 2nd by this point, but having to take a little bit more off into 1st now for the Dipper as he comes through 2nd and 3rd. And the back end really wanted to twitch out here as he gets through Forest Elbow, tries to open it up onto the back straight. This turn doesn't actually have a name, but essentially just a kink onto Conrod Straight, all the way flat out, back into 5th and 6th gear, and just letting the car whistle then as fast as she can go. See what your top side's at, so 185, 186 we were looking at last time. Again, similar speed there, 185, throwing it into the chase. Hard on the brakes there, trying to get that front end in, trying to keep the grip there under those wet conditions, managing to stop it from aquaplaning. So late braking, but effective braking there from Jack as he comes through on the final corner onto Murray's, managing not to get that car to over rotate and missing the puddle and there is our hot lap of Bathurst. So we'll go back trackside and give you the information back. And Blankfile currently out in front in this race. So Blankfile yet to pit, I believe, and we're going to see obviously some of these guys closing up now. Linga Bazinga all the way back in 33 is the guy that we're watching for. Currently closing up onto the back of Snell and Bongo and Bruce, who I believe were yet to pit. So Snell and Bongo potentially there. So Snell and Bongo now just coming into the pits, as he potentially getting Linga Bazinga all up in his mirrors and thinking better of getting in the way of his fellow Dutchman. These guys know each other, friends outside of racing, so definitely familiar with each other. We're certainly not friends on track, and they are definitely out for their own on track, as all the drivers are here. Great camaraderie that we see in the paddock afterwards, but certainly when they get on track, his gloves are off time, and it's time to win. So what else have we had going on at Flux Motorsport? What we have had is we've missed the Touring Car Championship. That had our final race on last Tuesday, I believe. Tuesday just gone, and that saw the console, an unsurprising winner, an unshocking winner there. He's had a great season, so well done and congratulations to the console from that. I'm sure you'll all wish him congratulations when you see him out and about. If you are a member of our community, do make sure you give him a good pat on the back for that, because it's not the first one of his Touring Car Championships with us, and it certainly won't be the last one that he wins with us either, I suspect. We're considering putting bricks in the back of that Megane when he's in his next championship, though. Try and even it out a little bit. So that was Tuesday. Like I said, we've got on our on Saturday we've got the LMP2 Championship. Unfortunately, our LMP2 Championship doesn't come to a broadcast, but we will look to do that next season, as well as our GT3 Championship on Sunday. And again, all these come at you at 8 PM UK time, or GMT, if that's your flavour. But in addition to that, we've had a recent announcement at Flux Motorsport and some wonderful news that we will also be opening up an American series. So there'll be a series opening up in the Americas time zone. I believe the races will begin at 8 PM Eastern Standard, but that is just still waiting to be confirmed and ready for the events program to be announced. So again, that'll come in the next couple of weeks, along with our community prize competition. So do watch this space. It's all go at Flux Motorsport at the moment. You don't want to miss any of the action. Make sure that you do come follow us on the social media streams, and come and watch us on YouTube. And no doubt you'll hear Murphy in our GT3 broadcast with the console, actually, so you can find out from the horse's mouth exactly how he won that and how he feels about it and what that's going to mean for his championship and where he's going to go now. So does that mean continuing to defend for his touring car title, or is he going to try and root for pastures new? We'll see. So, but yeah, make sure you dial in for that one, and hopefully Murphy can give him the lowdown on what Alex is up to. But just coming back to our GT1 race, currently Blankfile out in first, 074 Leggy still with him, still within a second, and Jack de Mendes all the way back up with this pack now. So Jack up to third, and these guys running essentially what is now for a battle for first place. A little bit of a gap there between Jack and DJ, a little behind him, but Jan was certainly keeping DJ company, just in case he was getting lonely. So the battle for fourth place now. Like I said, these guys not teammates, similar liveries. You can tell DJ, apart from Jalma, DJ's got the little yellow ears, and Jalma's got the little red ears, or wing mirrors as you call them. And that isn't getting out of the way, so is that a slowdown? That certainly won't be team tactics. So if DJ Leggy's got out of the way there, that is only because of it's going to be tactics potentially coming into pit stops, or he's had a slowdown there. So I really can't see him just opting to give him that place for nothing, unless there's some match fixing and bribery going on, which we'll investigate to the full. That is not allowed at Flux Motorsport. So maybe a different kind of investigation going on there between DJ Leggy and Jelmer. Maybe a financial scandal there in the GT1 Championship on our final race. I don't know, I can't tell you. We'll have to investigate. You'll have to tune in next season to find out, and whether actually Jelmer makes it, or whether him and DJ Leggy have found themselves behind bars. So we could be looking for 2 new drivers in the off season. So if you are looking to drive, like I said, don't forget to come along to fluxmotorsport.com and hit the purple driver sign up button at the top right hand corner. That'll get you through to where all our drivers get involved and all the skullduggery we get up to in our driver areas. So we've got 11 minutes left in our session, so just coming up to the final quarter, final fifth, I'd have said, of our race here at the very wet, very dark New South Wales Bathurst at Mount Panorama track, where we've seen not as many spills as I thought we might see today, but certainly some thrills as we take a look at Bruce Law. So Bruce still currently in 7th place, been in 7th place for the majority of this race so far. Not too much to write home about from Bruce. Bit of an accident initially. I have seen him take a couple of knocks, potentially due to that incident, so losing a little bit of balance with the car, and that's affected his lap times quite heavily on the last lap. Actually, 2:13 lap from Bruce, last lap from Bruce. So not a common sight that you see from Bruce struggling, but certainly not enjoying it here today in the panels. Certainly not getting it to go quite as well as he might hope. So Immortalis currently just behind him. Immortalis, like we said, he ran through and got away, bullied his way into first place at the first corner, and then just coming into what seems like it's the first turn, but it's actually the second turn at the end of Mountain Straight into Quarry Bend. Just getting the front end of that CLK there on the rubbers, and that is not a place you want to get on the rubbers there, certainly not in the wet. Great big huge red and white apron there, very inviting to try and get the front end on that and just increase a little bit of the corner angle there, and hopefully reduce a little bit of the time. But really snatched him and paying the price, I think, today here. So currently in 8th place, but is catching Bruce. So whether we see Immortalis try and put a move on Bruce here is yet to see, but he is certainly catching him over the past few laps, and I think that's going to be it at the end of this lap now. So whether Bruce is going to move over it, whether he's going to make him fight for it, is yet to be seen. And Bruce, we know, tends to race his own race, doesn't tend to block drivers, doesn't get in the way, just trying to let drivers push their way past, and invariably what tends to happen is drivers can make a mistake in trying too hard, taking a different line, and you don't really have to do anything. The driver literally takes himself out of the race. So we'll see whether Bruce goes to employ that option here. He's certainly taking the racing line. He's not moving over at this stage, but he's under no obligation to. This is 4th position. So he's to come over that fat section now, trying to get the car just to remain off that wall. A lot of suspension damage if you hit that wall at an angle. Not too bad if you just kiss it with the complete side of the car. And there we go. So just coming into Skyline there, or just coming into the S's, sorry. Bruce there getting out of the way and letting that car come through with a bit more speed. So that's Immortalis up to 7th place. But we'll go back over to the similar liveried 074 and Martin and DJ Ledger, sorry. Apologies for it, sorry. It looks like DJ Ledger and Martin, they've just had a bit of distance separating. It is indeed. So DJ just dropping back a little bit, and looks like he's potentially suffering a little bit more through the heavier wet patch of the circuit than the guys in front. But 074 now moving out of the way and letting Jelmer go through. So whether that was an over rotation or a move out of the way, it looked more like an over rotation, to be fair, not just struggling to get the power down on the inside line. So trying to cover the inside line, and as we know, as we've seen Max Verstappen do many a time, the inside line is not the right one, and you want to try and take it through very central on middle line. As Blankfile goes wide there, so that's the Blankfile in 3rd place, just tagging that wall coming through Quarry. That's really going to sting. So that is not a good place to tag the wall. It tends to suck you in there and gives you suspension damage at the same time. And yep, so Blankfile, the back of the car, really starting to twitch out there. So whether that's going to see Blankfile drop there in the order now and lose that podium spot, I think potentially he might do. 074 doesn't look like he's picked up quite as much damage, but does tag the wall there himself. Again, side to side contact with the wall there, not proving too bad if you can get it just to kiss it and then come back away again. But certainly the contact that Blankfile had looked like it was suspension related, or that front right hand side of the car looking like it took a good old knock there. A bit further down our road we have got another battle on track, so got a battle for a 10th and 11th place between Luke and Murphy. So Luke currently in 10th and Murphy right up his chuff in 11th spot. Murphy taking the inside line, kept it clean, kept the inside line, forcing Luke to the outside there, and Luke just not able to stick that, so losing traction on the outside of those tyres in those huge puddles on the outside there. Murphy just able to that's actually quite interesting. So Murphy able to take quite a lot of the aprons there, and using all of the road, all of the apron, trying to get the power down and not managing to spin the car. So doing quite well there actually to get that power down. Shame he's not found that form and that pace a little bit earlier on in this race, as we see him fall down the order here. Murphy in 10th place with yet again quick lap times. So again, Murphy another quick driver in a similar category to Snell and Bongo. I think he was just in front of him. I say just in front, maybe 15 seconds in front, which are both of these quick guys on the day, but when it comes to finishing a race, just do seem to struggle to get the consistency of the respective cars to come together. So back over to the onboard battle between Blankfile and 074 Legend. Like I said, we'll try and go on board with them here and just see what kind of visibility that Blankfile's got. So really putting the wipers on there, 10 to the dozen these are the wipers going at the moment for Blankfile. And not too bad when the car's not right ahead of you, but as soon as you get right up into the draft of the car, absolutely almost zero visibility. I mean, you've got the car's rear end right in your face for a kick-off, and then the spray makes it even more difficult. So Blankfile now starting to get closed up from the car behind, not able to see the rear view mirror there, but you can see from the timing board DJ Leggy starting to close up to the back of him there. As we go back trackside again and we take a look at these guys, yep, so that is DJ right up the back there. And whether he's going to try and make a move through this section, now through the downhill section it's not that easy potentially into this corner, but in the rain you are going to struggle, and as you come out onto Conrod again through the through that elbow section, it's very difficult to try and get a manoeuvre done because of the way the car wants to kick out. So his best manoeuvre I think is going to be when he comes to the end of this section into the chase, see if he can try and push it to the outside and try and take this position. If we just see 074 Ledger, is that Tajo? I think that might just be Tajo. It was indeed. Yeah, Tajo's just struggling there, just trying to nurse that back home. And Linga Bazinga there in 6th spot. So Linga Bazinga looks like he's gone for a one-stop strategy, but it looks like the guys at the front have gone for a zero-stop strategy and they made it stick. So Linga Bazinga might be kicking himself for that pit stop there. Like we said, tyre degradation being a big issue here. So maybe the guys at the front have got that to work. But he will start to close up. And the only other guy that's putting similar lap times out on track to Linga Bazinga is 9th and 10th place of Snell and Bongo and Murphy with 207s and 208s respectively. Immortalis just put in a 208 in last lap, so sorry. So a lot of the quick front runners at present are actually mid to back of the pack, and we're just coming into the last couple of minutes of our final GT1 race here on Thursday night. And I think what we're going to see is a bit of an upset here, so not quite the upset that Jack might want, but I think Jack might actually take this race with the last couple of minutes left. I can't see him wanting to pit now, as you do see Tajo take a pit and just get some of that damage repair. But Linga Bazinga in 6th place, and like I said, this is not for a blue flag situation, this is for position, and he is struggling to try and get back past Blankfile. There's a Blankfile cutting his Linga Bazinga's nose off there, but that was primarily due to contact with the wall. And certainly not a deliberate manoeuvre in front of Linga Bazinga's car, but it did actually take some momentum off him then. So Linga having to account for that. It's going to slow him up as he's trying to catch up to the rest of the pack there. So Linga just trying to pick him off now. Maybe he can use that lap time and those fresher tyres to try and get a jump on some of the drivers now. He's coming up at speed with 4 or 5 seconds of lap difference, lap on lap with these guys. And as we see the warning marker there just coming up on the timing board, which indicates Linga Bazinga is within a second and a half of the driver in front, and potentially it is going to be in the draft zone when they come onto Conrod. Not at this stage, with a good exit as they come down here. This certainly could be the case by the end of Conrad. Blackfire not dropping too far down the order, just behind him in 6th place. You can see his lights just coming into focus there. As they come through, a little left off here in the rain is not always a bad idea, but a lot of the guys not choosing to let off there, but then heavy on the brakes and early off the brakes, and get the car to try and turn and rotate through that adverse camber corner, and then into Murray's. So DJ Legend now the one under pressure from Linga Bazinga, closing that gap up all the time, and next to nothing in between him now. Again, trying to make a manoeuvre, trying to give him a look, see whether he can get down his inside and see whether he can basically feint a manoeuvre and get DJ Legend to try and take a line that he essentially can go around him on. And he gets it done on the inside line anyway, so traditionally the inside line being slippier in the wet, but as we saw with Murphy a little bit earlier on, inside line can make it work on that first corner. As they come up through into Quarry, Linga Bazinga will take 4th place from DJ Leggy, and the next one in his sights is 074 Leggy, who is not too far in front at all. 074, we see him just there in the green and gold. Up past the Haltex, up through Reed, sorry, up to Sulman, and then quickly down through McPhillamy Park. So he straightens up a bit onto Skyline and the S's, and Linga Bazinga really romping through now, so that 1.5 gap timing board kicking up. And Immortalis also looks like he's putting the pressure on Blankfire down in 6th place now. But we'll stick on board with these two, with Linga Bazinga, and see if Linga Bazinga can get this done cleanly here. Again, an aggressive driver, looking to try and get that nose in front. Just try and get well up in the mirrors, does feint drivers and tries to get them to make a mistake. But that can lead to a little bit of pushing of a driver, unfortunately, and that can lead to penalty points. Not doing too badly so far this season with these penalty points, Linga Bazinga, but he's going to come through potentially into our last lap. And that is our last lap, so that is Jack de Menezes that takes the win and crosses the line. And it looks like Gelma's going to come 2nd, so in 3rd place will come 074 Leggy, but will will Linga Bazinga put a manoeuvre on him now? And they're just trying to go past, and one of the back markers, which I think is Luke Snipes, he comes around the last turn, and it's going to be a drag the rest of the line. Linga looks like he's got it as 074, he does, so Linga gets it for 3rd spot, 074 for 4th, minus any penalties. DJ will get 5th. Blankfire, it looks like he's going to come round in 6th place, so just switching over the line there. Immortalis comes through in 7th. Bruce Law just trailing a little bit behind, so they're going to see these guys come through a little bit later. Jay, yep, just coming through the kink now into the chase. So big red lights there. Bruce got his special big red button on there just to let him know when his brake lights on, just in case he can't remind him. So special feature of the panel, so that's a special feature for the special driver. But I know he does like to have that feature on it. And Bruce will come across there in 8th place, and a bit of theatrics there as he comes across the line. Which means Stellenbong will come just behind him in 9th place. Again, quick laps there from Stellenbong, and from Murphy. He's going to come quite a distance behind Stellenbong in 10th place. Luke, yep, so Murphy just coming down Conrad at this stage. So we will finish this session out, I think. We'll have just enough time to finish this session out. But I think Luke Snaps may not get the opportunity to come across the line if he's only just coming up the mountain now. So Murphy will look like he takes 10th place. Just try and follow along with Murphy if we and that battered Toyota that looks like he's taking some side impact damage from the right hand side of that number 29 can there, and from the front end. Certainly doing the Elvis impression. Oh, thank you very much, Murphy says as he crosses that line. About 10th place, still a healthy amount of points there for 10th place. As we see, yep, so Luke will come over in 11th place. So what does that mean for our standings? Well, I think that essentially leaves things as they were with Linga Bazinga. That means Linga Bazinga is our GT1 championship winner for this season. So well done, Linga Bazinga. Well done to Jack for his outstanding performance today. A great run, 206 from a Jack de Menezes, so a blistering lap for from him. Again, only equalled, or almost equalled by that of Murphy in the Toyota down in 10th place. But from me and from the rest of our drivers this evening, thank you very much for tuning in and joining us. Thank you very much for sticking with us through this season, through the GT1 Championship. And like I said, don't forget to tune in to the GT3 race on Sunday at 8 PM. And don't forget to look out and watch this space for any of our social media notifications, or anywhere on the Discord if you're already a member, for the announcements we've got coming up soon, for our new series, for our prize events, and for next season. So until next time, have yourself a lovely Christmas, and I'll see you then. Thank you very much and good night.